Welcome back, everybody. My name is Token D Rock. Hopefully, all of you had a wonderful weekend, past few days. Total crypto market cap is sitting at $1.732 trillion. Bitcoin dominance sitting at 42.8%. ETH dominance sitting at 17.7%. Bitcoin is sitting just above 39K. ETH did come down to, I believe, 2,500 roughly. BNB below 375 again. Solana was below $80 once again just last night, but that is not the focus of today's video. Looking at the Bitcoin 1-minute chart, we can see that the RSI has indicated that Bitcoin was overbought in several locations here in the past 8 hours. So we may see a retesting of 38K or 37.3. Looking at the hourly, as you can see, we are facing some resistance between 39.7 and roughly 40,800. This is the resistance band or the bulls are trying to break through for the time being. Looking at the bigger picture though, you guys, we can see that the bulls have consistently faced some heavy resistance between 42,000 and 45,500, as you can see, coming down from November 9th, which was the all-time high right around 69K. We dropped all the way down to roughly 32, 33K and bounced. We tried to rally and break 45,500. Bulls did not succeed. The bears drove the price back down here to number 2. We wicked roughly down to 34.5, 34.4, something like that. Bulls drove the price back up again and got rejected. So the bears drove the price back down to where we're seeing it roughly right about now. Our guess of where number 3 may sit was actually pretty spot on as of right now. As long as this doesn't wick to the downside drastically or to the upside drastically, our guesstimate would end pretty spot on as to where Bitcoin was moving next. I think what we're seeing right here is some form of ascending triangle. Show you what I mean. Just draw a line right here. As you can see, for the most part, Bitcoin has been playing between this green line and this line up here right around 45.5, seeing potentially an ascending triangle. As you can see, has for the most part stayed above this green line and below this yellow line. If we were to see a breakout to the upside, maybe rather explosive, we'd probably be retesting resistance right around 48, 49, maybe 50K. Some resistance then at 52 or 54K. But, you know, I can't show you the pie in the sky scenario without showing you the doom and gloom scenario. So theoretically, looking at the hourly chart again, the bulls are really struggling to break past this band of resistance. And the bulls, if they don't put in a higher high, this whole trend line could be invalidated in a heartbeat. Because what we could see is we could see Bitcoin rally up here, get rejected. It could retest again this trend line, pardon me. It could bounce off this trend line and we could go back up here. But I think it's more likely that for the time being, bulls will probably go back up here. This trend line will get invalidated. And I think maybe we go back down here, potentially go down to here. This is actually a good scenario, in my opinion, if we were to go down to this yellow line, because that would actually form a double bottom of sorts for Bitcoin, which could put in the bottom theoretically. Now, the war in Ukraine, depending on how long that goes forward and stuff like that, depending on how the Fed behaves relative to the conflict in Ukraine, if they taper like crazy, that will send markets tumbling. But if they are dovish with their interest hikes, the market won't react as harshly, or at least that's what we are anticipating. Now, the double bottom scenario is pretty nice. We do have to entertain the scenario where Bitcoin goes all the way up here and then we actually come back down here to retest 29.5, 28.8. That's entirely possible. I'm not trying to sound like Joe Rogan, but yeah. I think these are the scenarios that we could see be playing out here the next week or two. This trend line is looking pretty good for the most part, minus these two daily candles that kind of invalidated it partially, but we are still in the ball game for this trend line. Hopping over to Twitter, Cynthia Loomis proposing a bill that aims to provide a tax exclusion for purchase up to $600 using Bitcoin. Can you imagine tracking every cup of coffee or hamburger purchase for currency gains or losses at time of transaction? Nightmare scenario. Let Lightning, etc., Lightning Network for Bitcoin do its thing. I do like how some people did mention why do politicians need to know what their citizens spend $600 when Speaker Pelosi insider trades and has a $250 million net worth on $200,000 salary as a fellow politician? Do you have any insight to this? And then other people are commenting $600 is ridiculously small. I agree, but nonetheless, it is a starting point because I do believe there are people in our government that would like to tax you for as simple as selling some Bitcoin to buy a coffee. Anthony Pompliano, I don't know if you guys follow this guy, but he says, wow, U.S. producer price inflation was just reported a 10% increase year over year. The real inflation in America is easily double digits. So again, the CPI figures, inflation figures saying 6 to 8%. It's a load of rubbish. They need to keep the sheep relaxed and not stressed, because if the sheep wake up and start panicking, it's not a good sign. But over in the EU, a proposition was added to their bill to ban proof of work, which would essentially ban Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum is moving to proof of stake here in the next year or two, but it would have been rather devastating for European citizens if this proposition of the bill went through. But nonetheless, EU voted against the proof of work ban, so that's good. And then here's a little infographic showing how Satoshi Nakamoto engineered a savings account for everyone. I'm just going to mute it just so you can take a look at this. But look at this. The longer and longer you stack Bitcoin, as you can see, the positive returns just keeps compounding year after year. Bitcoin is the best performing asset in the past decade. It's blown away gold. If you held gold within the past decade, you lost actually 0.25%. But if you're holding Bitcoin, you made over 10,000% gains. So if you're a hodler for past 5-10 years, good on you. You are way ahead of the curve. Even those of you watching right now that are stacking crypto and Bitcoin like me, we are way ahead of the curve. We're still probably in the early adopter phase, probably within the first 5% of the world to adopt crypto. I'd say arguably first 1 to 2%. But anyways, Justin, Saudi Arabia considers accepting yuan instead of dollars for Chinese oil sales. The Wall Street Journal reports. Bitcoin Senpai says, we are witnessing the accelerating death of the petrodollar and thus the end of economic luxuries that are associated with being the top dog currency. Agreed. We are seeing the petrodollar struggle to hold its relevancy and hold its global currency standard. I think the digital yuan will give the US dollar a run for its money, as you guys have known, since Russia invaded Ukraine, the way the Western hegemony is reacting is, okay, well, we're just going to sanction you to death. But it's interesting because Russia can run to the Chinese and use digital yuan. As discussed in last video, they're going to be using Union Pay, which is the Chinese's version of MasterCard and Visa. So there's that. And then you have other countries that are kind of work alongside those countries like Iran, Pakistan, India to a certain extent. As we can see, Saudi Arabia the other day, I don't know if you guys saw, but they actually refused to take Joe Biden's phone call. I don't know. Things aren't looking too good. I feel like a lot of these sanctions are actually going to be hurting the people here in the West more than maybe the people in the East, because people in the East have options. But look at this. I don't know who needs to hear this, but Bitcoin is faster than Visa or MasterCard and can process more transactions per second than both of them combined. And here we have a Defiant L tweet from Mr. Biden. When somebody is president of the United States, the responsibility is total. He said this a few months before he took office, and now he's saying, speaking to the National League of Cities, saying inflation in the U.S. right now is due to C-19 and Vladimir Putin and gas prices. Sorry, Joe, you're not making too much sense these days, but Anyways, with the Fed expecting a rate hike, this is what we could see. This is from CNBC. Most credit cards have a variable rate, which means there's a direct connection to the Fed's benchmark. Expect your annual percentage rate to rise when the Fed makes a move. For those planning on purchasing a new car in the next few months, Fed interest rate change will likely not have any material effect on what rate you get, but the cost of a new car or even a used car is through the roof right now. So even if the rate isn't affected that much, you're paying a premium nonetheless. Unlike an adjustable rate mortgage, a home equity line of credit adjusts immediately rather than once a year. Experts say it could be time to lock those rates in. Say you're going to buy a home. What they're suggesting is maybe now's the time, but personally, I would take all of this, what they're saying, with a huge grain of salt, because for all we know, this war could escalate to a much darker scenario and an economic collapse of sorts. But another Fed private student loans may be fixed or have a variable rate. That makes this a good time to identify outstanding loans to see if refinancing makes sense. That I would kind of agree with. Deposit rates will be much slower to respond to the Fed's rate increases. However, because of the inflation rate, any money in savings loses purchasing power over time. That's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, money and savings does not get you more money. Investing does that. And that, again, that's kind of the old world way of thinking, is save, 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 save. I can get ahead in life. But as we know, since 1970, the US dollar has not been backed by the standards. So they can just print money into oblivion. Year over year, we're seeing 2 to 3% inflation. That's being super conservative about the number. During recessions, we're seeing anywhere from 10 to 15, maybe even 20%. This latest recession or pandemic, maybe well over 20%. So just keep that in the back of your minds, guys. Personally, I'm not too fearful of what the Fed may do with interest rates, because I think they need to play dovish for the big dog investors. But that's just me. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments section. Remember, this is our channel, not my channel. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this down below. Either I run away or try to run away, because, if you're 18 and up in Ukraine, you have to stay and fight. So they say. I don't know why, but personally, I'm not going to act like I know that whole ordeal, but all I know is two hegemonies are fighting over a piece of land that they claim to have ownership over, at least partial ownership over. Again, it's about oil nonetheless. I think it's kind of sad to see so many people out of touch when they're saying, like, dude, why are you complaining about $5 or $6 at the pump? You realize that everything at the grocery store gets there by truck, right? And all our trucks are, surprise, surprise to no one, they run on gas. So if it costs more money to get all the goods, all the food in the supermarket, the grocery store, if it takes more money to get said product from point A to point B, the cost of goods is going to go up. It's really a no-brainer. And then you combine that with the fact that inflation is at an all-time high, CPI is at an all-time high. It's not a good look, you guys. The cost of everything's going up. A lot of Americans can't afford a $500 emergency. So you asking them, why are you complaining about paying $5 a gallon at the pump? Think about next winter, you guys. Think about how high the energy bills will be for people heating their homes. People have to choose between heating their homes and groceries. Like, this is where we are potentially headed. If this situation in Ukraine does not get resolved peacefully or via diplomacy, if we continue with this war, inflation's just going to continue going. But anyways, what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments section. Again, remember, I want to hear what you guys have to say, because I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall, sometimes just hearing myself talk. No, yeah, cost of rent's going up, dude. People do not get it. Anyways, that about does it for today's stream, everyone. If you enjoyed it, you're over on YouTube, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell to be notified when we go live next. Got some links down below for you to check out. Got the Bitcoin Visa Rewards signature credit card over from BlockFi. Earn 1.5% back on every purchase that you use the card. Get trading over on Voyager. Get stacking over in Celsius while you still can. All those links are down below. I will be live 10 a.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow. But anyways, have a great day, guys. Take care. Invest wisely. Bye.